What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the way you think? Not your past, not your resources, not your circumstances, your mindset. Change that, and everything changes. Success is not something you chase, it's something you attract by the person you become. In this video, we're diving deep into how to build a successful mindset, the kind that turns setbacks into lessons and ordinary days into extraordinary results. If you're ready to think bigger, grow stronger, and live better, stay with me. A successful mindset begins the moment you accept full responsibility for your life. Every result, every outcome, every place you find yourself standing today. This is not about guilt or self-criticism, it's about power. Because the moment you recognize that you are responsible, you also recognize that you are capable. Jim Rohn taught that you cannot change the circumstances, the seasons, or the wind, but you can change yourself. And that truth separates those who grow from those who remain stuck. When you blame the economy, your past, other people, or bad luck, you give away control. But when you take ownership, you reclaim it. Most people spend years waiting for conditions to improve. They wait for someone to notice them, help them, or rescue them. But success doesn't respond to waiting. It responds to action. Responsibility is the foundation of action. When you stop saying, "This happened to me," and start saying, "This is mine to fix," everything shifts. Your thinking sharpens, your effort increases, your excuses disappear. You stop asking, "Why is this happening?" and start asking, "What can I do next?" Taking responsibility also builds character. It forces you to confront the truth about your habits, your discipline, and your choices. And while the truth can be uncomfortable, it is always empowering. Because once you see clearly, you can improve deliberately. You begin to understand that your income reflects your value, your results reflect your effort, and your future reflects your daily decisions. That awareness doesn't limit you, it liberates you. Ownership means understanding that every day you are planting seeds. Some people plant seeds of distraction and hope for success. Others plant seeds of discipline and wonder why life improves. Responsibility teaches you that nothing changes unless you change. If you don't like your health, your finances, or your direction, the solution is not frustration, it's transformation. And transformation starts internally. When you take full responsibility, you stop being a victim of circumstances and become a student of life. Failures are no longer punishments, they are lessons. Challenges are no longer obstacles, they are opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. This mindset builds resilience because you are no longer fragile, you are adaptable. You understand that life will test you, but you also know that you can train for the test. The most powerful shift happens when responsibility becomes a habit. You don't waste time complaining, you don't point fingers, you ask better questions, make better choices, and demand more from yourself. And as you do, life begins to respond differently to you. Opportunities appear because you are prepared. Progress accelerates because you are consistent. In the end, taking full responsibility is an act of self-respect. It says, "I believe I can grow. I believe I can improve. I believe my future is in my hands." And once you truly believe that, nothing outside of you has the power to stop you. Your mind is the most powerful asset you will ever own. And like any valuable asset, it must be protected with intention and discipline. Every thought you allow to take root shapes your beliefs, and your beliefs ultimately shape your actions. Just like a garden, your mind will grow whatever you allow into it, whether you plant seeds deliberately or allow weeds to creep in unnoticed. Fear, doubt, negativity, and distraction grow fast and wild if left unchecked. Faith, confidence, discipline, and clarity require care, repetition, and commitment. Most people underestimate how much influence their environment has on their thinking. The conversations you listen to, the content you consume, and the people you surround yourself with are quietly shaping your internal dialogue. If you feed your mind constant negativity, drama, and limitation, it will eventually reflect that back in your decisions and expectations. Guarding your mind means becoming selective. It means choosing growth over gossip, wisdom over noise, and purpose over pleasure. Not everything deserves your attention, and not everyone deserves access to your thoughts. What you read matters. What you watch matters. What you repeatedly tell yourself matters. The mind believes what it hears most often, especially when it comes from within. That's why self-talk is so critical. If you constantly rehearse failure, doubt your abilities, or speak carelessly about your potential, your mind will accept those ideas as truth. But when you consciously replace destructive thoughts with empowering ones, you begin to reprogram the way you see yourself and the world. This isn't pretending problems don't exist, it's choosing to believe you are bigger than them. Guarding your mind also requires discipline during difficult moments. Stress, setbacks, and disappointment will try to hijack your thinking. In these moments, it's easy to let negativity take control. But this is where growth happens. The ability to pause, reflect, and choose a better thought is a sign of mental strength. You don't deny reality, you interpret it through a lens of possibility and progress. You ask, what can this teach me, instead of, why does this always happen to me?
The people you associate with play a powerful role in your mindset. Attitudes are contagious. Spend time with people who complain, and you'll find reasons to complain. Spend time with people who are focused, driven, and optimistic, and you'll begin to think differently without even trying. Guarding your mind sometimes means creating distance, not out of arrogance, but out of respect for your future. You cannot build a strong mindset in a weak environment. When you protect your thoughts consistently, your confidence grows naturally. Your decisions become clearer. Your goals feel achievable. You stop being easily discouraged because your mind has been trained to look for solutions instead of excuses. Over time, this mental discipline compounds, and you become someone who responds to life with calm, purpose, and direction. Your future is built first in your mind. Every achievement begins as a thought long before it becomes reality. Guard your mind relentlessly, because what you allow to grow there today will determine the life you live tomorrow. Successful people are always students, regardless of age, status, or achievement. The moment you believe you know enough is the moment growth slows and progress begins to fade. Lifelong learning is not about collecting information for the sake of it, it's about continuous improvement. It's the understanding that every day offers an opportunity to grow wiser, more capable, and more effective. Education does not end when formal schooling is complete. It begins when curiosity takes over and personal responsibility for growth is accepted. Those who commit to learning develop a deeper awareness of themselves and the world around them. They read not just to be entertained, but to be informed and inspired. They study ideas, philosophies, skills, and strategies that sharpen their thinking and expand their perspective. Reading introduces you to minds far greater than your own, compressing decades of experience into just a few pages. A single idea discovered at the right time can alter the direction of your entire life. That is the quiet power of consistent learning. Reflection is just as important as reading. Information alone does not create transformation. Understanding does. Successful people take time to think, to question, and to connect what they learn to their own experiences. They ask how an idea applies to their goals, their challenges, and their values. This process turns knowledge into insight, and insight into action. Without reflection, learning remains theoretical. With reflection, it becomes practical and personal. Refinement is where growth becomes visible. As you learn more, you begin to adjust your habits, decisions, and strategies. You discard what no longer works and strengthen what does. Lifelong learners are flexible thinkers. They are willing to change their minds when presented with better information. This adaptability is a powerful advantage in a constantly changing world. While others resist change, learners embrace it and evolve with it. Curiosity fuels this entire process. It keeps the mind alive and engaged. Curious people ask better questions, explore new ideas, and seek understanding rather than comfort. They don't assume, they investigate. They don't stagnate, they expand. Curiosity prevents complacency and keeps ambition grounded in growth rather than ego. It reminds you that there is always more to learn and more to become. Learning a little every day may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time it compounds into extraordinary results. Just as small financial investments grow through compound interest, daily learning accumulates into wisdom. That wisdom improves judgment, sharpens decision-making, and increases value. And value, when applied effectively, leads to opportunity, influence, and wealth, both financial and personal. A commitment to lifelong learning also builds confidence. When you know you are growing, you trust yourself more. You are less intimidated by challenges because you believe in your ability to learn what is required. Instead of fearing what you don't know, you become excited by the chance to discover it. This mindset turns obstacles into classrooms and experiences into teachers. In the end, lifelong learning is a declaration that your best days are not behind you. It's a promise to keep growing, keep improving, and keep reaching. Those who learn continuously don't just succeed, they stay successful because they never stop becoming better than they were yesterday. Learning to do the hard things is one of the most important decisions you will ever make because life will demand discipline whether you choose it or not. The difference is timing. Discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. When you avoid discomfort today, you are simply scheduling a much heavier burden for tomorrow. Successful people understand this early. They train themselves to do what is difficult now so life can become easier, more stable, and more rewarding later. Hard things are rarely dramatic. They are usually simple, quiet, and repetitive. Waking up early when you don't feel like it. Reading when scrolling would be easier. Saving when spending feels better. Practicing when quitting seems tempting. These small acts of discipline don't look impressive in the moment, but they build something powerful over time. Success is not built in a single breakthrough. It is built in daily choices that most people are unwilling to make consistently. Training yourself to do hard things starts with mindset. You stop asking what feels good and start asking what leads somewhere. You understand that motivation comes and goes, but discipline is a decision. Waiting to feel ready or inspired is a trap because growth often begins when you don't feel like moving at all. When you act despite resistance, you strengthen your character. Each time you follow through, you build trust with yourself, and that self-trust becomes the foundation of confidence.
The hard things also teach you patience. Results rarely show up immediately, and that's where many people quit. They underestimate the power of consistency and overestimate the importance of speed. But progress compounds quietly. Just like erosion shapes rock over time, small disciplined actions shape your future. You may not see change after a week or even a month, but over a year, the difference becomes undeniable. What once felt hard becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes routine. Doing the hard things also develops mental toughness. You learn that discomfort is not danger, it's growth. You stop being afraid of challenge and start welcoming it as proof that you are expanding beyond your comfort zone. This toughness carries over into every area of life. When problems arise, you don't panic. You've trained yourself to endure, to think clearly under pressure, and to keep moving forward even when it's uncomfortable. The irony of discipline is that it creates freedom. When you manage your time, money, health, and energy with intention, life becomes less chaotic. You gain options, you reduce stress, you create stability. While others are trapped by impulsive decisions, you move with purpose. What once required effort eventually becomes ease, because discipline has turned it into habit.
Doing the simple things well is not glamorous, but it is powerful. Anyone can do them, yet few do. That's why they work. Success leaves clues, and one of the clearest is this: greatness is the result of ordinary actions done with extraordinary consistency. When you commit to doing the hard things day after day, you separate yourself from the crowd without ever needing to announce it. In the end, the question is not whether life will be hard, it will be. The question is whether you will choose the temporary hardship of discipline or the permanent weight of regret. Choose discipline early, and life rewards you later.
High standards act as a compass. They guide your decisions when motivation fades and emotions fluctuate. When you expect more from yourself, you don't wait to be pushed by circumstances or other people. You push yourself. You take initiative. You hold yourself accountable even when no one is watching. This internal demand becomes a powerful force because it comes from identity rather than pressure. You don't act a certain way to impress others. You act that way because it aligns with who you are becoming. Demanding more effort from yourself means recognizing when you are capable of giving more than you currently are. It means not stopping at what is convenient, but stretching toward what is possible. This doesn't require perfection, it requires consistency. Some days your best will be strong, other days it will be quiet and steady. What matters is that you show up with intention and refuse to drift. Growth happens when effort becomes a habit, not an occasional burst of motivation. Expecting more focus from yourself is equally important in a world full of distractions. Focus is the ability to say no to what doesn't matter so you can say yes to what does. When your standards rise, you become more selective with your time, energy, and attention. You stop wasting hours on things that don't move you forward. You learn that focus is not about doing more, it's about doing what matters most with clarity and commitment. Integrity is the backbone of high standards. Expecting more from yourself means aligning your actions with your values, even when it's uncomfortable. It means keeping promises you make to yourself, not just the ones you make to others. Integrity builds self-trust, and self-trust builds confidence. When you know you can rely on yourself, you move through life with greater certainty and strength. As you grow, your results grow naturally. Improved thinking leads to better decisions. Better decisions lead to better outcomes. And as your outcomes improve, your environment begins to change. Opportunities increase. Relationships evolve. People respond differently to you, not because you demanded it, but because your growth made it inevitable. Change starts internally, but its effects are always external. Expecting more from yourself also means being willing to learn from failure without lowering your standards. You don't quit when things go wrong. You adjust, you analyze, you improve. You understand that setbacks are not signals to retreat, but invitations to refine your approach. This mindset turns mistakes into momentum. In the end, the greatest competition you will ever face is not other people. It is the version of yourself that settles for less than you are capable of. When you expect more from yourself, you unlock potential that was always there, waiting for you to demand it. And when you change, everything around you changes with you. Thinking long-term while acting daily is the mindset that separates lasting success from short-lived results. Most people are trapped in the urgency of today, today's emotions, today's pressures, today's distractions. A successful mindset rises above the moment and focuses on direction rather than convenience. It understands that real progress is rarely dramatic or instant. Instead, it is quiet, steady, and built through consistent effort over time. Those who win in the long run are willing to delay gratification and invest in outcomes they cannot yet see. When you think long-term, you stop making decisions based solely on how they feel right now. You begin to ask better questions. Will this choice matter a year from now? Will this habit help or hurt my future self? This shift in thinking brings clarity. You become less reactive and more intentional. Short-term discomfort loses its power when you are anchored to a meaningful long-term vision. You are no longer distracted by quick rewards because you are committed to greater ones. Planting seeds without immediate results requires patience and faith. Every meaningful goal operates on a timeline that cannot be rushed. Health, mastery, wealth, and character all grow beneath the surface long before they become visible. Many people quit during this invisible phase because they mistake silence for failure, but growth is often happening where you cannot see it. When you act daily with discipline, you're building momentum even on days that feel unproductive. Consistency is what gives long-term thinking its strength. Small actions, repeated daily, accumulate into massive change. One workout does not create health. One page does not create knowledge. One disciplined decision does not create success. But thousands of small, aligned actions create a life. Daily discipline is the bridge between intention and achievement. It turns goals into systems and dreams into routines. Acting daily also builds identity. When you show up every day, you begin to see yourself differently. You are no longer someone who tries, you are someone who does. This identity shift is powerful because behavior follows belief. Once you believe you are disciplined, consistent, and reliable, acting that way becomes natural. You don't need constant motivation because your habits carry you forward even when motivation fades. Trusting the process is essential, especially during slow seasons. Long-term success requires emotional control. There will be days when progress feels invisible and effort feels unrewarded. In those moments, discipline must replace enthusiasm. Trust means believing that your actions matter even when results lag behind. It means staying the course without constant reassurance. This is where most people fall off and where those who succeed pull ahead. Long-term thinking also reduces stress and comparison. When you are committed to your own timeline, you stop rushing to match someone else's progress. You understand that success is personal and speed is less important than sustainability. This mindset allows you to move with confidence rather than anxiety, knowing that steady progress always wins over erratic effort. Success is not a single achievement or a defining moment. It is a lifestyle built through daily choices. When you think long-term and act daily, you create a rhythm of discipline that compounds into extraordinary results. One day at a time may feel small, but over time, those days become a powerful, unstoppable force shaping the life you envisioned long before others could see it. Remember this. You don't build a successful life by chance, you build it by choice. Choose better thoughts, choose better habits, choose to grow. Because when you work harder on yourself than you do on anything else, success has no choice but to follow.